So Herakleia, the festival of Heracles, is next month. Basically, exactly 1 month from now. But for personal reasons, we celebrate it in a few days. On the day of Thor, because ancient Germanic people equated them, considering that they have very similar character, lifestyle, and they represent similar values. Also, the iconography is comparable. And I wanted to take this chance to reflect a little bit on why Heracles was such a popular god in ancient times. Because he was very popular, he was fairly international. As a matter of fact, almost everywhere in the Mediterranean he was worshipped. Not just in Greece, but also by the Macedonians, Sardinians, Romans, Etruscans. And he was also equated to some of the gods by the Egyptians and, as I said, by Germanic people. And I believe the reason for his popularity is because his story catches the essence of pagan morality. For me, the most core part of pagan morality is fulfilling or potential divinity. This is, by the way, very well explained in Plato's De Republic, but you can also find very good demonstrations in the Germanic sacred poem, the Rigsula. This is the idea that as a memory of creation, as a remnant of creation, or creators, the gods, put a godlike potentiality, a godlike part in ourselves. And the whole point of pagan morality is not to follow a set of exact laws that if we tick out, then in the end we get to heaven. But it is more about understanding the virtues, putting them into practice, and through them develop this inside potentiality that remains from our fathers and mothers, the gods themselves. Now this is only possible through self-development and through constantly progressing forward with self-discipline. The ancient philosophers talked a lot about eudaimonia, which is usually translated as happiness, and it is happiness, but the daimonia part very well shows that it also has a divine essence to it, that it's a form of divine existence. Now I'm not trying to say that we can become gods, and I'm also not trying to say that we can perfect the divine part in us. As a matter of fact, most ancient philosophers thought that you could never become the perfect sage. But if you put it in front of you as an ideal, as a model that you can follow and that you can always look up when you are trying to go forward, then your progression and development will have an exact direction. Now we know that ancient times there were deifications, but even those who were deified, like for example Plato or Alexander the Great, they never became the perfect sage. Most great philosophers never thought that they achieved this personhood. But it still makes sense to have this ideal in front of you, because the closer you can get to it, the better the person you can become. And the closer you can get to the gods themselves, which eventually will also influence your afterlife, because if you can prove yourself in front of the gods and if you can get close to the gods, then you can have a chance of being with them in the afterlife. This is not a question of reward and punishment as in Christianity. It's more of a question that whatever you train your soul, that will determine what kind of environment you will get in the afterlife. Similarly, how in this life the way you behave really determines what kind of people surround you and what kind of life you live. And really it seems that the travelings of Heracles and his challenges are just a very well written and a perfectly touching way to express that life is basically this: travelling forward to a certain direction and encountering challenges where you can test yourself and you can develop yourself but also prove where you got so far. And this is how you can get from being an average human to becoming somebody who actually developed his godlike self on a certain level. And this is exactly what happens to Heracles, who transforms from a divine king into an Olympian god. So with that closing thought, happy Thursday to everybody, happy Thursday, and praise to Heracles and Thor.